This is TWiT.
We have to set some ground rules here because it's going to be very easy for us to go off on a political rant. We really want to talk about the tech. We want to talk about the policies that are in place with our online advertisers, online entities.
I think he's talking to me.
I don't know.
I think he's talking to me.
This is a general note to anyone who might be listening. We do know now some of the facts behind a recent spat of very interesting ad buys that have been happening across networks, not just at Facebook, but Facebook is in the crosshairs right now. Specifically, Facebook has disclosed that roughly $100,000 worth of ads were purchased by fake accounts and sites that were run by known Russian troll organizations. One group was known as Secured Borders, and it ran a site, a Facebook group, and it bought ads across many of the groups that were identified as susceptible to a nudge in voting. In fact, Carson, if you go to my computer, these are some of the ads, ad buys that were showing up across Facebook. And of course, we've seen this before. You take a little bit of truth, you take a meme, and then you just kind of plaster it everywhere. And you're not...
There doesn't even need to be truth, though.
No.
Well, yeah, but it helps. It helps.
Suspicion, a little suspicion.
A suspicion, right. You take a little bit of suspicion. So these are the kinds of ads that were being plastered across all the different ad networks. Facebook has identified them, and now people are starting to get past the shock phase and saying, why didn't you do anything about this? You saw this coming. You just took the money. $100,000 is what they've identified right now, right. But even they have admitted...
I think Mark Warner said some was literally paid in rubles.
Right. It's going to be more. It's going to be way, way more. So the question is here is, does Facebook have a responsibility to stop this? I mean, they're not a national watchdog. They're not the ones who need to make sure that a foreign entity is not interfering in an election. They just sell ads, and they had an ad buy that they offered.
Let me jump in first. No, they don't. To be honest with you, I mean, far be it from the American people that we're not that bright, that people just fall for anything, but somebody paid money for something, and somebody put money up to do what they wanted to do. Now, you can get into the semantics, but then you start saying, well, when does it stop? What makes your ad more viable or credible than my ad, and I'm paying for it, and how I want to manipulate it? Now, some of those things are very blatant. Like you said, there's no truth to them. But at what point is this company supposed to say, all right, I'm not going to take this money, which we don't really make money on anything anyway, besides snooping on everybody, for an ad? You take the money, you put the ad up. It's not their job. I mean, other than the bot part of it, but I mean, they don't even need to have fake troll ads when you say it that way. They could have whatever somebody's name is sitting in a room just posting these ads, and people are susceptible to them because a lot of Americans are dumb, and that's just the bottom line of it. Maybe if we spent more time in education, then people wouldn't fall for everything they see on the internet, but they do. So I mean, like, I'm not even mad at Facebook. Like, there are bigger problems that we have than Facebook manipulation on votes. Yep. That's just me.
Let me do full disclosure here for a second. As I started the News Integrity Initiative at CUNY, which has money from Craig Newmark, Facebook, and the Ford Foundation and others. So full disclosure done. I think there's a fundamental change in the architecture of media, including advertising here. And we keep on trying to bring over our old presumptions of old gatekeeper mass media into this new world. Google and Facebook enabled anyone to advertise anything. That was never possible before, right? Padres country jams, right? You could sell that stuff the world around now. That was never, ever possible before. Well, good. God bless. It's like blogs. Nobody could publish before. YouTube. Nobody could make TV shows before. Now everybody can. So now anybody can advertise. As a result, you have a problem of scale. And so now that anybody and everybody can advertise, that means that other bad guys will now manipulate the system, right? That's why Google had Matt Cutts. That's why they had to worry about the spam. There is an expense that these companies are going to have to go to. I think, JJ, I'll agree and disagree with you to this extent. Getting bombarded with propaganda, hate, lies, bigotry, misogyny is not a good user experience. And at some level, I think that Facebook has to worry about that, number one. Number two, I agree with you, though. They put up ads. Anybody can buy ads now. They want to buy these ads. What I think they should be is a lot more transparent. I think that Facebook should be revealing the ads and especially the targeting criteria for these ads. both Facebook and Google should be revealing how they are manipulated, thus how people are trying to manipulate us. Now, Facebook's argument has been that legally they can't reveal it because of privacy. What, bots now have privacy? That's absurd. So they're going to hand over the data they've already handed it over to Mueller. They're going to hand it over to Congress. It's going to get out anyway. I think Facebook should get way ahead of this and say, here's how the bad guys are trying to convince you. One last point. It's also been argued that before, all political ads had to be public. You had to know what was what on TV or radio. But that's not true, because ever since the invention of direct mail and robocalls, there's been dark advertising around politics. So there's nothing new there.
The companies, Facebook chief among them and Google too, like to position themselves as these neutral platforms, but they do police what goes on there. When's the last time you've seen a porn ad on Facebook or Google? So I haven't personally looked at the foreign campaign finance law, but I don't know that Facebook is necessarily off the hook if they knew what they were taking money for.
Do you think they knew? That's the big question to me is given the scale and given that there was Cambridge Analytica and all that stuff out there, because I think that's a key question. Could they have known? And if they knew, what were they obligated to do? How hard was it to know, you think?
I personally think they probably didn't know, but I think that is probably a question Mueller would be asking the company and asking for emails and asking for documentation related to these ad buys.
The next interesting piece of this is if Cambridge Analytica's, and that's been overblown in terms of its capabilities.
Right.
But if targeting criteria were passed over from the campaign to these Ruskies, that's collusion.
Yeah, well, there is another part of the story, which is $100,000 of an ad buy is actually nothing. That is a drop in the bucket. However, where the analytics goes crazy is how effective it was. Yeah. If you look at a standard ad and you expect 1x efficiency, these ads were something like 10,000x efficiency. That only happens if you really know how to target it. You had some sort of inside information. This wasn't just shotgunning out. You had someone in the country who was able to look at the demographics, look at the groups that were forming on Facebook, maybe tie that into some local grassroots groups and know this is a group you should target. These are keywords you should target. And that's actually part of the Mueller investigation. It's not necessarily where did the ads happen, because we know they did. It's under whose direction.